It's 12 noon. We're live on City Line. Hi, I'm Jackie Hall.
And I'm B.T. Bentley. Join us as City Line kicks off our efforts in contributing to Channel 13's For Kids' Sake Awareness Campaign. Today, we'll get a kid's sake view of divorce.
With the divorce rate steadily rising, many parents and their kids are confused and at odds.
Emotionally, what kinds of impact does a parent's breakup have on their children?
For some, it's traumatic, and they blame themselves for the split. For others, having to choose one parent over another is unfair and disturbing.
Providing an environment of support for minority students in law school. I'm T. Montier, and today on Newscap, we'll talk about a program designed to do just that.
Hi, I'm Harold Anthony. It's double video feature time with two of the industry's freshest and most exciting performers. We've got Ochi Brown and Eugene Wild, a special treat that you won't want to miss on this week's edition of the Entertainment Page.
Four young people whose parents divorced will join Jackie and me as we get a kid's view of divorce. They'll share their stories, their thoughts, and their feelings.
Also joining us will be Dr. Janice Stevenson, who will discuss kids and divorce and advise parents on ways to make it easier for their kids involved. A kid's sake view of divorce up next, live on City Line.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today on City Line. We are kicking off something that WJZ-TV is very enthusiastic about. It's a year-long campaign called For Kids' Sake, and they're going to be focusing on all types of issues that relate to the health and welfare of our young.
Yes, and today is our attempt at becoming involved in that whole campaign, which is designed to make us focus on young people.
And of course, as we said, we're going to be talking today about the impact of divorce on children. And with us are four very special young people who I'd like to try to introduce to you now, and I'll see how well I go. I'm going to start with first names. And we have on the far left, Herman, Joanne, Serena, and Stacia. Aha, I got it right.
Welcome to City Line.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. We are going to try to find out from you what it's like from your perspective when there's a breakup in the home. Let's start with you, Herman. How old were you when your parents first broke up?
I was 10 years old, and I was kind of confused at first because I didn't know how to feel or how to act. So it was kind of hard to deal with my parents being broke up, divorced, and it had an impact on me in school and stuff.
Did your grades suffer?
Somewhat, yes.
What were you actually feeling, though, Herman? How did you feel when you first learned that they were going to break up?
I felt sad. I felt like I lost my best friend. I was confused, kind of confused, yes.
That's been, what, about 6 years now?
Yes.
Today, from your perspective of those years, you're a little bit older and you've had a little bit more time to deal with the situation. Do you see it any more clearly now?
Yes, I see it more clearly, because when I was 9 years old, I was kind of confused, but now I found out my parents still love me. They still love me the same. They haven't changed over the years.
That's great. Joanne, how old were you when your parents broke up?
I was real small, and
Do you remember it?
no, it's like I had an idea who my father was, but then I came to know him like when I turned 18 years old. Not understanding why they did it, you had an impact where, oh man, it was all because of me. What was it me, And you sit there and you say, well, if I'm the cause of it, can I ask why? What happened? But then as I got older, it's nothing that is you are never capable to understand what happened or what took place. But as I got older, you learn how to deal with it. Yes, you have two parents. There's two sides to every story. And you work with both of them.
Okay. Okay, we're going to come back to some of the issues the two of you have already raised. But Serena, what about you? How old were you when your parents broke up?
I was about, I think, 3 years old, but I can't really remember when, what exactly happened. But I was brought up with my mother, okay, in my house, and my father wasn't there. And as I grew older, I came to understand, you know, I can't really understand because I don't have all the facts, but there are some things I do understand.
Stacy, you are Serena's sister. You were a little bit older at the time. Do you recall it any better?
Yes, I was 5, and I can't really remember anything, but I was sad because they were breaking up.
Did the two of you talk about it as sisters?
No, not really.
No.
Did you talk about it to anyone? What about to your mother, since you stayed with your mother? Did you talk it over with her?
No, it didn't come about. I mean, you know, it was like my mother was our mother and our father. So I really didn't you know, ask her where was my father because I thought of her as both.
So what you two did, you didn't discuss it between you and you didn't discuss it with your mother. Did you just basically kind of keep it in?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Joanne? How did you deal with it? Did you share your feelings with anyone, including your mother?
No. It's like you have times where you want to ask questions, but then you like, if you ask the question, is it going to cause a problem? Is it going to bring out some kind of tension? And then you sit and wonder, oh man, I want to ask her because I really want to know because he's a part of me. But then you can't really find out.
Okay, we're going to come back and discuss those and some other issues in just a couple of minutes. Right now, we're going to take a break, but please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're talking about kids and divorce. This is City Line's contribution to the year-long campaign for Kids' Sake. We'd like to invite everybody from the home audience into our discussion by calling us now at 481-1313. If you're a young person who has experienced exactly what our four guests are talking about, share those ideas and feelings with us now by calling us at 481-1313. Herman, you talked about the confusion. Who did you select to share your thoughts with, to tell them exactly how you felt so that you could kind of air it?
Well, I talked through my problems with my cousin Tim, because his parents was divorced too, and he could relate to what I was feeling.
Is he about your age or a little bit older? Or?
No, he's 19. He's
Okay.
a little bit older than me.
What did the two of you learn as you talked about it, and the ideas and the feelings that you had and the feelings that you heard him tell you about? What kinds of things did you share there?
Well, we was talking about that our parents, they loved each other, right? But they probably had problems that they couldn't work out. So then they didn't have no other choice, so they just got divorced.
How long did it take for you to come to understand that both of your parents still loved you?
Well, I always knew that, I always knew they loved me. Because I know they wouldn't do anything to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that.
What about you, Joanne?
Okay, as far as that goes, my father treasures me. It's like my baby this, my baby that. I don't see him, you know, like I see my mom, but I, you know, play it as I see him as much as I possibly can. I'm into a lot of activities, so that knocks off some of the time that I would spend with him. But as far as being able to understand, like you said, it's very confusing. But now that I'm older, it's still at that state of mind. But there's nothing that you can really do about it.
Now, a lot of times young people get the feeling, though, that they are at fault, and they somehow feel guilty that it was because of them that the mother and father could not make it. Did either of you feel that way?
No.
No,
I
I
didn't.
can't say we did. I didn't.
Okay, what about you, Joanne?
At first I did. There was really strong, like, am I really the cause of it? Is it because of me? Because is it something I did? And I was very young, you know, so I wasn't able to understand or sit up there and try to ask myself the question.
Did you have any guilt feelings at all, Herman?
No.
Okay.
I was very young.
Okay. Good. Let's go to BT in the audience.
Okay, Jackie, I think we have a question here.
I don't have a question, but I felt when my parents got divorced, I felt very different from what you do. I was happy. I thought that it was for the best because we would always argue all the time, and now he's still around, but we don't argue as much. I like it.
How old were you at the time?
13.
13?
Mm-hmm.
And then how long has that been?
2 years ago.
And you're happy about it?
Very.
Do you still have contact with your father?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you get along better now that he's not
Much
part of the
better.
home?
Much better.
Okay. Any thoughts about that? Joanne, Herman, Stacia?
No.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you about maybe your friends.
Peer pressure.
Okay, the peer pressure, or even the similarities that some of your friends may have gone through. How did all of this impact on your friendships?
Well, for me, like when I was in high school, you figure that's the most important time where you need both parents during your high school days because you have a lot of peer pressure. Okay, I'm out of school now, but then you sit and you think, oh man, you had classes where you had conversations about what your parents and you do, how you spend your time, and you standing there and you're like, I can't, you know, contribute to the conversation because my parents are not together. It's like you stand back, you want to go in a corner and just hide.
Have you ever felt embarrassed that your parents did break up and that it wasn't the all-American family that's described many times on television, for instance?
No, it's not. It shouldn't be at an embarrassing stage because it's nothing you can do about it. It's a problem that was between the parents. It's really not you.
Okay, what about Serena?
For me, it's like that's something I have in common with my friends. Your parents are divorced, so are mine. It's like that. I like it better with being brought up by a single parent. Most of my friends' parents are divorced, and it's not any pressure on me.
Why do you like it better?
Because I guess I'm so used to it, you know. I don't know another way.
Do you have the same feeling, Stacia?
No, not really, because most of my friends' parents are together, and sometimes they talk about what they do when they're going out with their fathers and mothers and their whole family to the parks and all the carnivals and things. And I just say, well, I don't have no father to go out to a park and carnival and things, so I just take it in, you know, sadly.
Okay. We have someone at home who wants to talk to you, so we're going to go to the lines right now. Hi, you're live on City Line. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, because like when I was young, my parents used to argue a lot, and when I got home, like I used to be out a lot, and when I got home, they used to be crying, and I just wanted to know if sometimes they wish they weren't their parents anymore.
Anyone who wants to answer?
Well, I mean, you're going to feel a lot of pain. A lot of pain is there because there's so much hurt. But it's like you got to be strong about this situation. You never let hurt overtempt the strength that you have because it can cause a lot of conflict in dealing with situations like that.
Okay, Herman?
Well, you might hurt a lot when your parents get divorced, right? But some of the friends I know, they be turning to drugs, right? So they sober them up to get them more happy about their problems because they can't deal with their problems. But you should try to talk to somebody, like a cousin or a family member or something. Get your emotions out in the air instead of keeping bottled up and stuff.
Okay, caller?
Yes.
Sounds like pretty good advice to try to talk to someone.
Okay.
Okay, and thank you for calling.
Thank you.
We're going to come back and talk about that whole issue of talking your feelings out and talking with someone about how you feel. We're going to take a break and come back. Please stay with us. here's this week's community calendar.
Hello, my name is Jaretha Coley. The Douglas High School PTA invites you to be a part of an evening of excitement and entertainment in Atlantic City, New Jersey on Sunday, May 4th, leaving the school parking lot at 12 noon and returning at midnight. The trip will cost $21 with a $15 refund. Proceeds will benefit the Douglas High School Music Department. For further information, call 396-7821 or 362-8253.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Merchant. The Baltimore chapter of the Bennett College Alumni Association invites you to attend a spring breakfast on Saturday, April 19th at the Inner Harbor Hyatt Regency Hotel at 9:00 a.m. Our guest speaker will be Dr. Faustine Jones Wilson, Professor of Education and Graduate Professor at Howard University. Proceeds will benefit the Bennett College Scholarship Fund. For tickets and further information, call 727-4812.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Edmonds. The Black Student Association of the College of Notre Dame invites you to attend the second annual Gospel Extravaganza on Sunday, April 20th in the LeClaire Auditorium of Notre Dame, beginning at 6 p.m. The Southern Baptist Church Young Adult Choir, First Baptist Cherry Hill Choir, and the Come Alive for Jesus Choir will all be on hand. For tickets and further information, call 435-0100, extension 426.
If your group or organization would like to announce an event, please write us in care of City Line, WJZ-TV, Television Hill, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211, or call us for further information at 466-0013 between the hours of 9 and 5.
We're back live talking about kids and divorce, and right now we have another young person with a question about kids and divorce.
I would like to know that, although you were all young when your parents broke up, do you ever feel as though the divorce was for the better of you? As though, you know, divorce was what my parents had in mind when they had the divorce?
It's hard to say, okay? Because when you're at a young stage and you don't know or you have no idea, you sit around there, now I'm 20 now, and I sit and say, well, maybe it was for the best because you weren't there to be able to see what went on, or you saw it, but you weren't at the stage where you could tell. So, you know, you have to come to a conclusion where it was for the best or it was never done.
Any other ideas on that same issue? Okay, let's take a call from home. Hi, caller, you're on City Line.
Hello, my name is Shaneva Johnson, and my parents are divorced also. At first, I resented my father, and I wanted to ask Serena if she ever resents her father also.
No, I don't, Shanira. But maybe you shouldn't think of it like that. Like the girl in the audience just said, maybe it was for the best of you. Do you ever think about it like that?
Sometimes.
Do you have much contact with your father?
No.
Do you want contact with your father? Have you attempted to contact him?
Yes.
What has been the result of that?
They have been very negative. He never writes, and I don't get to talk to his family very much.
Now, you're talking to us, which we think is very good. We thank you for your call, and you're obviously talking to Serena. Are there any other people that you can talk to share your feelings about the problem?
My mother and my grandmother.
Has it been helpful?
Yes.
Good. We can only wish you continued success. Keep
Yes.
trying.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jack, we have another question.
By being with one parent while you were younger, as you got older, did you feel as though you wanted to be with the other parent?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You miss so much.
Well, because I didn't have a father to do anything, to go to football games or talk about women or girls. And And so I talked to my cousin, because my cousin's like my brother and my father too, a father figure. And so I spent a lot of time with my cousin, talking to him.
How do you think your lives would have been different had you been in a home with two parents? Have you thought about that? Have you kind of fantasized about that?
We would have had more things, we would have had more clothes, more food, more everything that other children have. And it would be much fun, and we would be living in a better place, in a bigger house.
What about you, Serena?
No, I don't think so. And because I'd rather relate to my mother than my father anyway. Because I feel more comfortable, talking to a female anyway.
So you were fine.
Right.
What about you, Joanne?
Well, I mean, you missed all the times that, like, oh, man, my grandmother, I'm like, I have my grandmother. She's always there. But, spending time with your parents, you're like, Dad, can we go to a carnival together? Stuff that you just missed out of the ordinary.
Okay, and we heard from Herman who wanted to talk about girls.
I have a question that I'd like to direct to all four of you, and that is, with what you've been through, do you have concerns in the future when you might get married about how this is going to affect your life?
First thing come to mind is I do not want to repeat what I've been through.
How will you avoid repeating?
Okay, then you have to be very strong-minded. Your relationships should be a bond, where if there's two that's going to perform a family, it should be two that raise their family.
Okay, Herman?
Well, mine's going to be totally different, because I'm going to work out my problems with my wife or my female companion. Because if I'm going to marry her, I'm at to love her a lot, so I'm not going to try to divorce her.
Okay. Serena?
Well, I think that I can get married, but if I can't find somebody, that I can really get along with, then I'll just be the father and the mother.
Okay, just as your mother was.
Right.
Okay, which is the role that you saw.
Right.
Okay. And your sister, what's your feeling?
If I get married, I don't want to ever get a divorce, and we will work out all the problems, and we will try and talk about everything and every problem that we are having.
BT?
Another question, yes, sir.
Yes, I was wondering if you had ever thought about maybe talking to a counselor or a peer group to help you overcome your parents' divorce.
Well, I can't consider it a peer counselor. It'll feel as if you're talking to a stranger. You aren't as comfortable with a peer counselor as you would be with a friend, a close friend, or a family member, because you tighten up. All that's inside, you won't let out.
Have any of you been counseled?
No. And I'd like to elaborate on what she said. And maybe you think maybe this person doesn't feel the same way that I feel, She's different from me. She doesn't have the same feelings that I have, and you might tighten up. And so therefore, there's no point in talking.
Now, we have not been able to get to all of the calls from home, obviously, even though we've attempted to take some calls. But if you were able to give advice to other young people who are going through divorce, and we know that almost half of the marriages don't last, so there are an awful lot of children in one-family homes, what advice would you give them in terms of making it and getting through the terrible times of it? And let's start with Stacia.
To try and talk it out and talk it over with your parents or your close friends or relatives, and to try and live with it.
Did any of you become involved in any type of alternative activity that might have helped you
yes.
get over those hard times?
That was my getaway. That was my getaway.
Tell us about it.
I participated as far as a rec's concerned. My suggestion is get into activities at rec. I have a cheerleading squad. I have a dance troupe. I'm conducting a pageant. I'm Miss Deweese of a rec. It soothes a lot of tension. Like, I have headaches, and you're like, Dad, it's nothing but pressure. Get into a lot of activity. It eases a whole lot.
What about Serena? What kind of advice would you give?
Okay, you might as well be strong, okay? Because being weak, you can't deal with anything. So it's nothing that you can do about it, because that's in the past. This is the future, the present. And you can just deal with it. Try your best to deal with it. And if you feel that you maybe should talk to somebody, then maybe that's what you should do.
And let's hear from Herman.
Well, I would get involved in some kind of type of activities and stuff instead of hanging with your friends and stuff and getting to wrong. Probably go to jail or something like that. And so you should try to talk to your parents and tell them how you feel about their divorce and stuff. So you should really talk to the parents or family members.
Let me ask you one quick question. Has there ever been a time when you said you don't want to get married because you don't want it to happen to you? Herman?
No.
Okay, Joanne?
Yes.
Many times?
Yes.
What about you, Serena?
No.
No.
Okay, just wanted to get a sense of that.
So the four of you seem like you have weathered the storm and come through it quite well.
Yes.
Any parting words that you want to give to some of our other younger viewers out there who are going through that hard period right now?
Like Sarah said, all you have to do is be strong. It's all, think of it as a mind game. Somebody's playing tricks on you. Try to duck their heads. Swerve around.
I hope that came through loud and clear. Okay, thank you so much for being with us. We think that you're fine examples of those that did survive it. I think maybe a couple of us have been through it as well, and we survived it. It was difficult, but we did. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break and come back and talk with Dr. Janice Stevenson about some of the things that she's heard.
Welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion on children divorce, and joining us is our very favorite child psychologist, Dr. Janice Stevenson. How you doing?
Glad to be here. That was quite a discussion you just had.
Quite a discussion. Those are four kids who seem to have come through the experience, at this point at least, very well. How do they compare with the norm?
They compare pretty comfortably with the norm, except for a couple of things. But the things that I want to point out that they share with the norm is that issue about am I loved? Because each of them raised that question, including the two who didn't remember, without realizing some of the questions that they had and some of the issues that they raised still come to that central core, am I loved? I think a lot of times parents forget that they can divorce, but they don't really divorce kids. And they're so important to their kids. Parents forget sometimes that the kids depend upon them for basic survival, not just emotional stability, but for food and clothing. And when parents aren't there to provide that, one of the questions kids have, well, will I survive? Will I be able to see tomorrow alive? And they both, all four of the kids spoke to that. They also spoke to the confusion that can take place. Herman in particular said he couldn't understand, and he spoke a lot about the confusion and the sadness that comes from that. Also that sense of separation from your peers, that's something that's important. Kids work toward independence by going through conformity first before they set up their own independent personality. And they spoke from different points of view about that sense of separation at a time when they need to be more like than unlike. And I guess the last thing that I wanted to point out was that they all spoke about the fantasy about successful relationships in their own lives. But what I heard was they want to have successful relationships because they know what they don't want to do. And they're not really clear on how to go about achieving what they do want to do. So it's sort of a negative modeling that's taken place.
But you called it a fantasy. Why would it be a fantasy? Of course, they're just young people, but why would you call it a fantasy?
I think it's a fantasy because they don't know what to do. They've not had a model that's taught them how to have a successful relationship. So the fantasy is based on a picture in their head as opposed to something in reality that says this is how you succeed in relationships.
When we were talking earlier before the show, you made a comment that any parent who thinks that their child is handling it very well, that they're fine, there's no problems, is missing something.
Yeah, I've been doing this stuff for 10 years with kids, and I am also a single parent. I know with great certainty that a lot of times we don't often know how to read it in our kids that they're having a struggle with it. Some of the things that parents might want to watch for to know if their kid is struggling with it would be a drop in their grades in school, would be a change in the quality of their peer relationships. If they find themselves choosing different types of friends than they did before the separation and the divorce. That's a signal that we sometimes miss. It shows up usually first in school, but second with your peers. And then also, if you find a kid who is so very good, okay, or who is so very quiet that they're not a problem, a lot of times that child will sacrifice himself, him or herself, for the parent, because right now they see the parent is in crisis. And they want to be good so that, one, they won't get abandoned like they feel like their parent did, and two, so that they can fill that gap that's left by that missing parent. These kids sometimes get missed because we think they're doing very well, and yet what they're doing is taking in that I did something wrong, I can't do anything bad, and I've got to be really good so mommy or daddy won't send me away too.
Now, all of the young people mentioned talking.
Yes.
Talking to friends,
Yes.
talking to counselors, cousins, whoever, grandmothers.
Yes.
How critical is talking?
I think that point, more than anything else, I want to make sure the audience hears. Every question that was raised, both from the audience and from the callers, were about contact, were about either substitute of parental figures or about some kind of provision of support. It's essential. Part of what happens with kids is that when we feel our feelings, they fill the room. They're so big, they're all we know. And when we become intimidated by those feelings, then they feel like a pressure cooker inside of us. If we have an outlet for that or someone to teach us how to manage those feelings, then we're not so afraid of them. Kids don't know they can handle expressing anger. When they can talk about it, when they hear someone else has survived it, then they find out that it really is okay to feel angry at my parent who I need so much, or to feel sad, or to feel devastated because I'm not going to die tomorrow. I really can't get through this. Being able to talk that stuff out makes it less scary.
Is it an advantage to have someone close to you to talk to as opposed to, as I mentioned before, an outside counselor?
Actually, it's one of the things that I think you heard from the kids up here was that it's important to have a support group somewhat separate from the parents. You heard them talking about peer groups, you heard them talking about extended family. It's important to have that shared experience. It's important to have it usually within your age group, and there are a lot of facilities in the city and in the area that are set up around a peer group support system where you can have that shared experience.
Let me ask you one final question since we're almost out of time. Obviously, half of the marriages end in divorce and kids are being raised in single-family homes. Do we really survive it intact? Do our children survive it intact? Can you leave us with something positive to make us feel we're at least going to make it?
Actually, I can, because one of the shifts that we've seen in the evolution of the family, at least in the last 15, 20 years, as the divorce rate rose, you also found more people learning about relationships. So now there are more classes in the high school, for example, to teach you about relationships. There are many self-help groups out in the community to help learn how to be in a relationship, and there are many programs around that are not necessarily called therapy, but just education about relationships. You also have more people committed to maintenance of a relationship, all four except for Serena, who was willing to parent alone. But the other three were all willing to try marriage and to try working in a relationship in a way that they could keep talking with each other.
Okay. Dr. Janice Stevenson, thank you very much. We also want to thank a group that gave us a great deal of assistance in putting the show together. That's the Northeast Youth Services Bureau, and they are located at 5501 Ivanhoe Avenue. The number there is 323-5020, and we want to thank them again for their help. Right, North Central.
North Central.
I want to thank all of our guests for being here. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Good afternoon. Topping today's newscap, the disproportionately low numbers of black lawyers in this country. Of the 600,000 attorneys in the U.S., only 3% are black. For Maryland, that figure is 4% statewide. Part of the reason for such low black representation in the legal profession can be traced to the kinds of experiences and challenges the black student must face in law school, or the minority student. One new program designed to make that experience a more positive encounter is the Law Student Mentor Project. And joining me now to talk about the focus of the project is attorney Gladys Brown, an advisor of the Thurgood Marshall Pre-Law Society and campus compliance officer for the Chancellor's Division of the University of Maryland at College Park. Ms. Brown, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for inviting me.
What would you say is the focus of the Law Student Mentor Project?
This project has several focuses. Number one
it is a retention device. That means that it is designed to provide programs and experiences which will increase the quality of life for students at College Park. Number two, it's also aimed at providing the kind of support system whereby those students who enter the College Park campus will graduate in the 4 or 5 year time period. The other focus of the program is to provide a support system whereby those students will get the kind of academic support and also career development advice so that they will be able to not only gain admission into law school, but also once they are admitted into law school, they will be able to graduate within the 3-year time period required.
When we talk about providing support for students, minority students in law school, how does that support translate itself?
Basically, for the undergraduate student, we're talking about an individual who has not had any previous experience with the law profession. So therefore, the individual does not have a clear or accurate sense of their ability to perform well in law school, nor do they have a sense of the academic requirements that are necessary in order to successfully complete a law school program. What our organization does is provide that experience in the form of workshops. We're talking about approximately 10 workshops a year in which we have lawyers come on campus and talk about their profession and the lifestyle that's associated with that. We have law students who give a similar type of workshop. We also have workshops provided by academic units on campus who provide tutorial support and experiences. In this particular case, we also have pre-law advising by myself, and we also have the Law Student Mentor Project and also the Lawyer Mentor Project, which is a program with EEOC, Equal Opportunity Commission.
I just mentioned the numbers, the percentages of minorities in the legal profession, and I did say that they were disproportionately low. To what do you attribute such low numbers of minorities in the legal profession? Is it that minorities overall are not attracted to law as a career?
I think they're intimidated by the legal profession. I think that they have an unrealistic appraisal of what's required to graduate from a law school program, and certainly they don't feel that they have the confidence factor to undergo such a program.
Let's talk about the schooling environment that many minority students have to deal with, probably going to majority institutions. How has the actual school environment changed, even though the numbers have not significantly increased over the past decade? But how has the environment, say at the University of Maryland, changed, or has it changed? Your numbers haven't increased significantly in terms of minorities entering law school.
I think that for the University of Maryland, it's in the unique position of indeed being one of the few predominantly white institutions in which that has happened. When I was in law school in 1972, the percentage rate for law students was approximately 7% of the entire campus population. Now, the population for black students is 22%, with a majority of those students coming out of the Thurgood Marshall Pre-Law Society at the College Park campus.
I wasn't aware of that. 22%, how many students are we talking about?
Well, I think the student body is approximately 600, so we're talking 22% of 600.
One of your objectives is to provide for a less stressful admissions process for the minority student. What is stressful about that process?
Well, I think that for many students it becomes stressful because they are not familiar with the process. Number two, they don't have a clear sense of what the admissions committee or the admissions office is looking for. So therefore, they oftentimes do not take an LSAT preparation course or law school preparation course. Number two, they don't file in a timely manner for application into law school. And number three, they don't apply for enough law schools so that if they're rejected, they still will have a good chance of gaining admission into one of the law school programs.
Would you still encourage minority students to enter law as a career in light of the fact that we have a glut of lawyers overall in American society?
I think that that's true, and I've heard that quite often, but you have to remember that you never have enough of black lawyers. You never have enough of those lawyers who come from a certain historical perspective and who will approach their law practice or their employment situation from a certain perspective.
Ms. Brown, I want to thank you for taking this time with us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
And that is today's newscap. I'm T. Montier. More City Line up next. Stay with us.
I've had so many restless nights, it's hard to sleep when you are on my mind. I'll always keep hoping that one day you'll be free.
Hi, I'm Harold Anthony. O.G. Brown, a 24-year-old native of North London, began singing professionally 7 years ago. She was in demand as a session vocalist and backed up such artists as Eddie Grant, Rita Marley, Toots and Malanta, and Imagination. Brown made her solo debut in 1983 with a sparkling reggae version of the Procol Harum classic, Whiter Shade of Pale. Although released on a small independent label, her exciting sound became a resounding club success in the United Kingdom, then crossed over to be a major hit in Germany and Holland. A follow-up single, Why Can't We Be Friends, was a huge dance hit as well, and soon she found herself crowned the United Kingdom's Queen of Soul. With Whenever You Need Somebody, here's O.G. Brown. With her sensational new video, that was O.G. Brown. Bringing the sounds on this side of the Atlantic, Eugene Wilde has become one of the most intensely interesting new figures on the music scene. At 24, he has already accomplished what many entertainers work their entire careers to do. His first single, Gotta Get You Home Tonight, went to #1 on the black music charts, and he was named top 10 male artist by both Billboard and Cashbox magazine. Wild is a savvy, masculine vocalist with a supple touch for nuance and emotion. Wild entered the world of professional music as a youngster in a band with his 5 older brothers called the Simplicious in their hometown of Miami, Florida. Simplicious never translated a strong local following into a national hit, but their Let Her Feel It was a hit in London and other foreign markets. They toured both the United States and South America, and it was always the energy of the youngest brother that attracted the most attention. So it was inevitable that he would soon strike out on his own. At 22, he decided to go solo, and now let's take a look at what's happened since then. Here he is with his current hit, Diana.
So much lately, trying to work it out after you broke up with him. But how can I help you to make up with another guy when I know deep in my heart that I want you for myself? And I've been trying to tell you for some time now, but I just didn't know how. And I know that I may sound a little crazy, knowing you with someone else's lady. Ooh, Diana, don't look at me that way. Try to understand what I've been going through, Diana. You a diamond ring if it means that you belong to me. Oh, Diana, look at me. I've had so many restless nights, it's hard to sleep. You were on my mind. I'll always keep hoping that one day you'll be free to spend some time with me. So tell me if I'm wrong for trying to hold on. Tell me right now, don't leave me hanging on, 'cause I know that I may sound crazy, knowing you were someone else's lady. Ooh, Diana, don't look at me that way. Try to understand what I've been going through, Diana. I'd give you anything if it means that you belong to me. Oh yeah, don't you see that you are hurting me? Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, yeah.
That was the playfully sensualist Eugene Wild with his latest video called Diana. And speaking of sensualities, ladies, get ready for the love balladeers at their finest. Tell your guys that the NAACP National Convention Planning Committee will sponsor a benefit concert on Saturday, May 3rd, 1986 at the Meyerhoff Symphony Hall, featuring the Manhattans, the Dells, and the Chi-Lites. Proceeds from this concert will benefit the Baltimore branch of the NAACP. For further information, you can call 962-1444. And if you'd like to spend an afternoon exploring historical artifacts, then the Maryland Museum of African Art in Columbia is featuring an exhibit of masks, Zulu warrior headdress, stools from Zaire, and a host of other authentic pieces now through June 30th. For more information, you can call 461-6390. And with that, another page is turned. I'm Harold Anthony, hoping you all have a great Sunday.
Thank you, Harold. For those of you who'd like a little bit more information about the topic of today's show, WJZ-TV has put together this pamphlet titled, Whose Side Am I On? And this gives some questions and answers talking about kids and divorce. If you'd like to get a copy of it, simply write to the station for kids' sake, WJZ-TV, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211.
And we'd also like to remind you that our young people were from the North Central Youth Service Bureau, and they're another resource in the community if you have some difficulties and have one questions. Next week on City Line, we start a two-part focus on the workplace, and where we'll talk about ways to get ahead and succeed on the job.
Okay, and tomorrow night there will be a docudrama on TV called Tender Places, which airs, I believe, at 8 o'clock. You might want to take that in. Also, Baby Fest is ending up today. Get down there before 6 o'clock at Festival Hall. I'm B.T. Bentley. Thanks for joining us.
I'm Jackie Hall. Have a good Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Women suffering from menstrual cramps are discovering Nuprin and its medicine's power over pain.
Nuprin stops my menstrual pain. It's different. Nuprin has non-prescription strength of the same medicine in Motrin tablets. That's the medicine doctors prescribe most for menstrual cramps.
Nuprin has more power over pain than regular strengths of aspirin or Tylenol.
And Nuprin didn't upset my stomach.
From Bristol Myers, Nuprin for menstrual cramps. It's medicine with power over pain.
Morris discovers 9 Lives Crunchy Meals.
Morris, surprise! Guess what you had?
I hate games.
Hint, it's the new dry cat food.
Dry, game's over.
It's 9 Lives.
9 Lives? Well, I don't want to be a poor sport.
New 9 Lives Crunchy Meals. Morris's favorite flavors like Super Supper, now made crunchy. At last, a crunchy cat food good enough for Morris.
9 Lives Crunchy Meals? You're the only game in town.
$1,900. Vicky, you're rich.
You mean we're rich?
No, this is your money.
It's our money. And I think we should use it to have some fun.
Oh, yeah, like what?
I don't know. We could take a trip somewhere. $1,900. You know how far we can go with that?
You can stay home with me and go as far as you want. You want me serious? Okay, I don't think we should take a trip. You shouldn't blow your money on that. You should invest it.
Daddy!
I just dropped by to say good morning.
Oh, good. Come on in.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, look at his little face fall. You're not happy to see me, are you?
Daddy, look. A tax refund from the IRS.
Oh, $1,900. That's nice. I hope you're going to do something sensible with this.
Well, Jack suggested I invest it.
What a good idea. Are you sure it came from Jack?
Daddy, where do you think I should invest the money?
You know, I think...
Well, there are many possibilities that would be good right now. Precious metal shares, maybe a mutual fund.
There's also...
Of course, I wouldn't recommend anything off the top of my head. Tell you what, I'll come back later with some ideas for you to choose from.
Okay. Wait a minute. I have a lot of good ideas about investing, too.
Oh, really? What do you know about the stock market?
That's the place where people go and buy and sell stocks.
It's a wonder some think tank hasn't snapped him up.
Look, wait a minute, Mr. Bradford.
I'll be back later with just the right investment for you.
Okay. Bye, Daddy.
Bye-bye.
Vicky, how could you do that?
What did I do?
Well, you didn't even think of asking me for advice. You just automatically turned to your father.
Well, he is a businessman.
And what do you think I am?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I just didn't think you knew that much about investments.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot. Well, it just so happens that I do. I have a lot of good ideas.
Like what?
Like what? Like mutual funds, or, you know, like precious metal shares, or did I say mutual funds? Well, things like that.
Well, if you think
No,
that you...
Vicky, you really don't care what I think. You're only going to listen to your father anyway. Anytime anything comes up, you always turn to your father. Gee, what do you think, Daddy? Oh, Daddy, you're so smart. You know, how do you think that makes me feel? Like 2 cents.
Jack,
What?
here.
What's this?
My check. I've endorsed it over to you. I want you to invest it for me.
Just like that?
Mm-hmm. I have to get dressed now. I have some errands to run.
Well, wait, Vicky, don't you want to talk about it?
Not really. I mean, you said you had a lot of good ideas, didn't you?
Yeah,
Well,
but...
then that's good enough for me.
Maybe we ought to ask your father first.
I'll be right there. Oh, Daddy.
Victoria?
I didn't expect you so soon.
No time to lose. We want to get your money working for us as quickly as possible.
Daddy.
Sit down, Victoria. Now, what I have in mind for your investment...
Daddy, I gave Jack my refund check.